Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining Her Time. We are excited that you decided to watch this episode with us. I'm Rosie, and I'm here with my beautiful friends who will be introducing themselves.
Hi, I'm Daisy.
Hi, I'm Jeanette.
Hi, I'm Regina.
So we are excited that you again made it a point to watch this episode. And we truly do appreciate it. Remember that you can follow us on Instagram at Her Time for Talk, or you can also follow us on Facebook at Tiempo de Ella. And if you wish to watch more episodes, you can look for us on YouTube at Her Time. If you want to share with us maybe a episode that you want us to record, you can send us an email at hertime4 talk@gmail.com. And we would really love and appreciate if you would like, subscribe, and share this channel with other women and get the message of hope across. So we're going to get started. And first of all, I want to wish all the mothers a happy Mother's Day. To all the beautiful, hardworking, self-sacrificing mommies, happy Mother's Day. There is something beautiful and profound about God entrusting us with the opportunity of motherhood. Whether you are a biological mom, adoptive mom, foster mom, abuelita, stepmother, aunt, sister, soon to be mom, spiritual mom, God has appointed us to pour into the lives of our children and to cultivate a relationship with them that will forever impact our lives. And so we don't take this lightly. This is a big responsibility, and we are all on this journey of motherhood. Today, we're going to be talking about our experiences with our own mothers that have impacted our own lives, and we want to share some personal stories with you all. So my first question is to any of you, what is one thing that you are most grateful for that you've learned from your mother? So anyone wants to go first? The floor is yours, Jeanette.
No, I was saying one thing.
Well, one thing that you're most grateful for.
I think for
I'm
me,
sure there's a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a million things that I'm most grateful for my mom from my mom that I've learned. But I think the biggest thing that I always loved and admired about my mom is that she just never held any grudges. Like she was a pastor's wife all her life. Like she was a pastor's daughter, then she went to Bible school, and then she married a pastor and became a pastor's wife all her life. And if any of you know what it's like to be a pastor's wife, you know that there are just a lot of hurts and a lot of things that people do that, not necessarily that they mean it or that they're trying to hurt you. Some do try literally to hurt you or hurt your feelings, or they walk away from you, all of the pouring into people. And but she never held any grudges. She never talked badly about anyone. Like I would remember finding out about things and I'd be like, what? That's it. I'm going to go grab them by the hair and punch them in the throat. Like they hurt my parents. And my mom was like, no, calm down. And then the next thing I know, like they're at a women's conference or at a pastor's conference or convention or whatever. And she's talking to him and praying and crying with him. And I'm like, why? And she could not hold a grudge to save her life. Like she just has never been able to. And even with me and my sister, like, or any of her kids or anyone around her. No one tries to hurt her, but she does get hurt feelings every once in a while, but she never holds grudges. Like she just lets them go. And I don't think that she's letting people walk on her or, like it's a bad trait. I think that she just loves people enough to know that, I don't have to hold on to that. Mm-hmm. And that was always the one thing that I loved about my mom.
That's beautiful. And that's a great trait to have, Anyone else?
I will say unwavering. Like, I just think my mom is the same woman that she's always been. She's always been faithful. She's always been loving, kind, and she doesn't change. It's not like, and she's had a lot of health issues, and it doesn't sway her. It doesn't change who she is. She's still faithful, loving, kind, encouraging, and so she doesn't, it's
Mm,
not like depending on the times, depending if things are good, depending on how she's feeling, or if everything is hunky-dory in the family or whatever, like it doesn't change her,
yeah,
regardless if there's a situation that's going on in the family, if there's a health issue, she is always steadfast and unwavering. She doesn't change. And I
that,
love that, because that means that I can always depend on that. I can
yeah,
always depend on my mom being that that anchor,
yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah. And what a blessing, right? To have that.
Yes, amen. Yeah.
Daisy?
With mine, it's, I think the number one thing that I remember, I was born in Philadelphia. My family, my parents got married in Philadelphia. I was born in Philadelphia, so was my brother. And we came to Chicago really little, and it was just the four of us. And I think what I really appreciated was that no matter what we went through, because, finding job at that
Mm,
time and settling in, it was always the four of us. And my mom she lived that way. Like, it doesn't matter what we're going through, as long as we're going through it together.
mm,
We grew up like that.
yeah,
And I know that that's the same feeling that I have. It's no matter what, it's just us, and we can get through whatever as long as we're doing it together. So
Mm.
I've always been able to count on my dad, that he was always going to be there, that my mom would always be our number one defender, that my brother was always going to be there. It was the four of us. And
yeah,
I'm so grateful for that nucleus that she created. And we lived that way, like we were one, so
Mm.
yeah.
wow. Yeah, that's beautiful. I know with my mom, I think one of the things that really stood out, especially because she raised 7 children on her own, was perseverance. Like, she was so dedicated to making sure that she took care of her children. There wasn't a day that would go, even though we didn't have a lot of food growing up, she always managed, and she was always very concerned about making sure that her children were taken care of and fed. And no matter what, every day after school, she had dinner ready for all of us. And her hardworking spirit, determination, she would do things. She was like the handy manny as well at home, right?
Mhm.
So she made it a point to take care of her home, her household, and her children. And that's something that I take with me. Yeah, because she taught me that it's important to do that,
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
yeah. Anything else anyone wants to share? If not, what is going on to the next question is, what is one thing you intentionally decided not to do that you learned from your mother? So, what is one thing you intentionally decided not to do that you learned from your mother?
I'm gonna start because mine was spanking. My mom was a believer in spanking. Um, yeah, to the point where it was really serious spanking,
Mhm.
That's how she kept order, and that's how she kept the kids, my brother and I, in check.
Yeah.
And it was a deliberate decision that
Mhm.
I would not spank my kids. And my husband and I talked about that before we got married. We're not spanking our children. We're going to love them through the mess, because we knew to expect that there would be rebellion, there would be doubt, there would be question, there would be whatever. We're going to love them through, like Jesus loves us through the stuff that we go through. So yeah, it's the spanking. We did not do it. So yeah.
I think for me, this was hard for me, because I had to really go back and think about what is the one thing. And I thought about, how I've been really intentional about spending time with my daughter, and, making sure that I communicate with her and, have that relationship with her. Not that I don't have that with my mom, but growing up, she was busy with 7 kids, right? So she didn't have that a lot of one-on-one with all of us. So one of the things that I decided was, I'm going to make it a point to spend time with my daughter, and make sure that I have that relationship that I wish I would have had with my mom. But I understand why I didn't, right? Because she was taking care of 7 children. She did her best, for sure, and I love her for that. But yeah, I think just building that relationship, she was doing what she was taught or what she knew at the time. So for me, it was, I want to be intentional about having a relationship with my own daughter. Regina?
I think for me, I think that what I'm not going to do is be opposite of her and hold grudges. Like, I'm just going to hold all the grudges. I'm kidding, you guys. Gosh, you guys are half asleep. No, I think with my, I really can't tell you that there's anything that I mean, even the spanking, like my mom barely spanked us. It was always my dad. But I mean, and when I did get a spanking, it was warranted. Like, I just, and then and anyway, but I think about what I wouldn't, or what I haven't incorporated in my life that my mom did, especially with the boys, is that my parents, especially my mom, she'd be like, you can't date until after you go to college, and after you stay away from boys, and you can't go to prom, and you can't be involved with things of the world. And I do know that at some point it's good to protect your child, but I think that if I'm going to let my kids do something, my boys, they're going to do it anyway. I want to be involved, because I know that when I was in high school and she said you can't date, I was still dating, and I was just doing it behind her back. Like, I'm I'm not
rebellious.
And I just want to be involved in their lives. So I wanted them to go to prom. Like, I wanted Roman, Roman just graduated, and I wanted to be part of his relationship. I wanted to see what kind of man or what kind of boy he was with his girlfriend. Like, I wanted to know if he was treating her right, or what are you guys talking about, or how's this relationship going. Like, I wanted to be involved with that, because when I went to college, I mean, I hadn't really had any training on how to date, like, except for the sneaky part. And then as soon as I get to Bible school, like, I went crazy pounds. So I want to be able to, while they're in my arms, I can train them up in all those ways, not just, in all the ways, basically.
Jeanette?
Life.
Yeah.
Huh?
Life. Train them in life.
Yeah, in all parts.
Yeah. This is gonna sound like such a cop-out, but Mom, you're perfect if you're watching. So no, I'm just kidding. No, I think the only thing that I think I can think of is that I think my mom was a little too soft on us sometimes. And I think partially was because my father was so tough.
Mm,
And because my father was so tough and so, you know, he was
strict.
definitely more the disciplinarian and stuff like that. So I think my mom overcompensated and sometimes kind of, but the thing is, she was the one that was the main one around.
Mm-hmm.
So I think sometimes she was a little too nice and a little too like she's a very patient person, but like in a way it was like, whoa, she's showing way too much patience, because I would have by then, it was like, or just, I don't know, like let us get away with some things that I'm like, why did you let us do that? Like, I don't understand. But that's all I can think of, honestly.
Yeah.
That's
I'm sure there's a lot more that we could say, right, about things that we've learned from our mothers, and maybe even more of things that we just intentionally do not want to do, right? But changing the subject a little bit, how can we as daughters be better at helping our aging mothers? For those of us that have our mothers present, how can we be better or intentional about taking care of our aging mothers?
I know my
I'm
mom
gonna-
just
oh,
wants time, like time with me, no matter what we're doing. Like if I call her and I'm like, Mom, I'm going to the mall, you want to come with me? And she's like, yes, or even if I say, Mom, I need to borrow your car, you want to come with me? And she's like, yeah. So she'll spend the whole day with me. So it's just time. She just wants to spend time with
mhm.
us. She's pretty self-sufficient, like she can drive. Just she got eye surgery and she needed us there, but I think more than anything, she just wants to spend every moment that she can with us.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Mhm.
we have busy lives and she doesn't expect it. She doesn't, make us feel guilty about it or anything. But she does crave to be around us. And so she'll make dinners and have us over. And so I love, and I think that that's the one thing, is all she wants is time, because time now is precious. I
Mhm.
don't know if you noticed, but it's already May, and
Yeah.
life flew, like these past 5 months flew by. So
Mhm.
that flies.
For me, I would say for my mom, I've noticed this probably in the last couple of years, but my mom, she really wants to feel needed still.
Mm.
Like, I still need you, Mom, or can you help me with this? Or if there's something that she can do to help, she's right there and she feels, and I get it because, you know, I'm not as old as her, but I'm already feeling things like that too. Like if I feel like my kids, they don't need me anymore, like it's good to feel needed and wanted. And, so like if I'm working on a project, if I'm working on a show or something, and she's like, I want to help with whatever, and so if I give her a project, like, Mom, I really need help in making, and she's great with like crafts and things like that. So like anything that's crafty, she'll be like, oh, I'll make that, I'll do it. And then of course she does it with excellence and she does a fantastic job. But like the fact that she is needed and like we're asking her, oh, or like, teach me how to make this, Mom. I want to know how you make this. I want to watch you make this. Like all those things, like she loves that feeling needed and wanted, which I completely understand.
Yeah, that's good.
Well, I'm gonna say something. I know
Yeah.
you all know that I lost my mom years ago, but I remember one of the things that became so important to my mom was someone who listened to the stories, you know, the family stories and the Puerto Rico stories, the how she learned how to do things and why she did the things she did. And so I'm so grateful for that, because when my mom died, my brother went through a lot of guilt and a lot of questions, you know, and I felt complete. I honestly felt like I know everything that I need to know. I know every recipe. I know who was married to who and for how long and how many kids they had. So for my mom, it became, you know, she needed a place where she could tell stories to someone who cared, because obviously they're my family as well. But so it was just critical for her to be listened to. And I was the one who listened to her, you know. So so yeah, sharing her stories, and I'm glad that I did, because I don't have questions, you know,
Yeah.
at this point. So
And you can take that with you for the rest of your life and pass it down to your daughters,
and I
right?
tell them to my daughters. Yeah.
I know for me, my mom is more of, she wants to make sure that we're connected. Like she just wants to hear from us. We don't have to talk every day. And I mean, if a few days go by and I don't call her, she'll go, and when I do, she goes, Vaya que te acuerdas de mí, you know? And she's like, well, wow, you've remembered me. And so it's really important that I stay connected with her, or that I call her often, because if not, she was like, qué bonito, you know, I haven't heard from you. And so, yeah, it's important for her. She has to feel connected to her kids. So every week on Sundays, she's calling all her children, and she'll tell me, yo hablé con Papo, hablé con Toño, Julio, you know, I spoke to such and such. And so she'll say, I couldn't get in touch with your brother, and I've been trying to call, but they won't call me. So that having that connection with her kids is very, very important. And that, you know, I know that making that I need to make sure that I am intentional about connecting with her, you know, in the process. So just to make her feel better. And she's a wonderful mother. I love her. So anyhow, what advice, I know that we've learned so much from our mothers, and, you know, something, you know, the good, the bad, the ugly, there's been a lot, right? And we've just become better women, better mothers. But what is an advice that you would give to a young mother? What advice would you give a young mother? I know for me, what I wrote down was that enjoy every phase that you have with your child. You know, journal those special moments with your child. Journal as much as possible about your child's journey. I think that's really important. I remember when Selah was born, and I was given a journal, right? And so you ladies gave me a journal, right? And you wrote in that journal. I still have that journal. And so I think it's important for young moms to, it's easy to get frustrated when you have children. A lot happens, right? And so if there's one thing I could say is enjoy the phases with your children, your child. They grow up really fast. And I can say that now, but prior to that, when Selah was little, I'm like, yeah, right. But they do. I just can't believe how quickly they grow up. And so, yeah, that's my advice to a young mom. Anyone else?
I was gonna say, don't be afraid to be silly and laugh and be able to like not sweat the small stuff, you know, and just try to keep a light heart, you know, Yeah, I mean, obviously there will be things that are serious that should be taken seriously, um and that need tending to or something. But like when when possible, when it's possible, like try not to sweat the small stuff and try to keep a light heart and be silly about things and listen to them. And like, just not everything is going to be like, oh my gosh, why don't you cut your hair? Like, it's like, who cares, it's their hair. Like, and actually that happened with Ezra, my middle boy. He's always had this thick curly hair, and when he was about 14ish or 13, I don't know, he went through this phase where he didn't want to cut his hair, and his thick curly hair didn't like go down, it went like this. and and then he wouldn't really take care of it that well. And so there were a couple of times I'm like, baby, don't you want to get your hair? And he'd be like, no, 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 all right, okay, fine. And sure enough, he looks back at some pictures and he's like, Mom, you tell me to cut
You're
my
like, I tried.
hair. And I'm like, excuse me, yes, I did tell you to cut your hair, but I wasn't gonna like fight you forever over it. It was just kind of like, oh well, you don't cut it, okay, it's up to you.
It
It's
better
your
not
hair.
stink. That's all I tell the boys. It
Just
better
don't
not stink. I better not get next to you and smell. You smell funny. No one else will tell you that you smell, but I will.
Yeah. So stuff like that, like not everything has to be an argument. Not everything has to be, something
That's true.
like, whatever.
That's good. Yeah. Regina?
I would say make your own traditions, like make your own traditions, like I never liked Christmas. It was never my favorite. I just, still at this point, I know it's the celebration of Jesus and everything. Yeah, great. But we celebrate Jesus all year long. Okay. Go
Right.
to church every Sunday. We don't just go to church on Christmas. Okay. But we made a different tradition in January because I just felt like Christmas was just so hyped up and it wasn't anything that really, it just was kind of frustrating for a single mom, right? But when the boys were little, we would always take every weekend in January, and they would each, so the first weekend right after New Year's, we'd watch the Lord of the Rings trilogy. And then each one of us would pick a trilogy to watch that weekend, every weekend in January, right? And I would go all out, like for Lord of the Rings, I would make like banana bread, like all of their favorite little goodies and snacks, and we would call them like second breakfast and like 11sies and things like that, so that they could just like enjoy it. And even to this day we still talk about it. And then if one of my sons chose like a dog trilogy, then we would get dog snack, like we would do just fun like to make it fun, but I created my own traditions because maybe because I'm rebellious, because I just didn't like Christmas. But like I said, with like Soup Sunday, or my favorite holiday is the 4th of July because it's in summer and you get fireworks. Like we do something that day, so just as a young mom, create the things that you want your kids to come back to you for, not just because of Christmas. I mean, if you love Christmas and you want to overdo it, great. But if there's something else, make your own traditions.
Cool. So don't sweat the small stuff, make your own traditions. Daisy?
Mine is continually reassess your expectations of your children. Because what I learned this lesson a long time ago, and that is, I've been my children's age. They have not been my age. And sometimes what we do as parents is we set the expectations according to where we are, as opposed to trying to remember what it was like to be 16 years old.
Yeah.
Trying to remember what it was like to be 21 and the expectations of being independent and making your own decisions are starting to drive when you're 16. So anyway, that's mine, is remember that your children have not been your age, but you have been their age already. So, yeah.
So adjust your expectations. That's good. Well, I hope that our viewers have learned a lot from what we've shared, and we're gonna close out, but just a little reminder that God has called every mother to walk this journey of life, with your children. And every journey is different, right? Every journey is different. And learning from it is important, right? The lesson in all of this is that learning is important. We're not always going to get it right. We're going to continuously be learning new things, and we have to adjust, right? Motherhood is not easy. It is not. But the fact that we love the Lord, and the Lord is by our side, and the Bible is our guide to, being a better mother. And so Galatians 6:9 says, let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. So I want to encourage every mother, whatever phase you're in, don't become weary. Don't be anxious. Trust God, trust the process, and just commit everything to the Lord, for sure. Being a mother can sometimes make you feel as though you're not doing a good enough job. But I want to encourage you to keep pushing forward, and God will always reward your efforts. So ladies, thank you. Thank you for joining us. And again, happy Mother's Day. And we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.